Wow, that's really really lovely, Agat. Thank you so much for sharing this. And um, also, like on this, like, what daily habits or maybe the practices that helped you rebuild your I mean, both the personal life and the professional success.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Hmm.
It really there's three or four fundamental practices that are in part principles, but also bleed into practices. And what I mean by that is started for me with practicing radical responsibility, acknowledging that I was at the center of everything in my life. And if I had created such a miserable experience, I could create something completely different. And that radical responsibility enabled me to make changes and continually make those changes, but not without radical self-acceptance. And that was really the combination of things that allowed me to make changes that made all the difference and continue to make all the difference. And what I mean by that radical self-acceptance is that when I had this rock bottom moment, it was of my own doing. And I, as I said, took responsibility for it. But instead of beating myself up, I experienced this grace is the only way I can describe it, where I forgave myself and I accepted myself and all the mistakes that had led me up to that moment. So this sort of paradoxical interplay between responsibility and self-acceptance is really the foundation for habit change and breaking patterns that I think as business owners we can fall prey to.
Hmm.
That the business becomes us and we become the business in ways that can really grind us down, and we start to cope in very unhealthy ways that erode our own physical well-being, our mental well-being, but also our
Hmm.
most important relationships. So it really starts there. And the second significant shift uh, in insight that I had is that I alluded to it a few minutes ago. I'd lost sight of why I'd started the business to begin with. A business exists to help the customer solve problems, right? To serve clients and customers. And I recognized that I'd lost sight of that. I was not in alignment with the core mission that I had founded the business to begin with. So it was reminding myself that I had to focus on value. If I focused 100% on delivering value, the results would come. And that was a very different perspective and shift from what I had been doing, which was just chasing more revenue and sort of chasing more customers. And instead, I shifted to delivering more value and inspiring our team to deliver more value in every interaction with customers and clients, and even among themselves as a team. The third is I needed systems. I just simply was not managing my lifestyle in a way that would facilitate our growing the business and ultimately successfully exiting it. And so that turned into a series of daily and weekly practices that starts right in the morning with not jumping right into the demands of the day and the computer or the smartphone, but instead carving out just even 15 minutes to sit quietly, connect with my breath in ways that, done consistently over time, really gave me so much more presence and poise in difficult circumstances. Like the stress didn't diminish as we grew, the stress actually increased, but I was better equipped because I started to develop this practice that just started with this simple mindfulness approach in the morning. And then importantly for me, I knew that I had to look after my physical health. So that required looking at the way I was eating and what I was consuming. So really a focus on nutrition and then movement. I just realized that without active exercise on a regular basis, I was really struggling. I think this was part of my struggle. I simply was not moving enough. And so that's a big emphasis for me is regular movement, and ideally that movement is outside because of the benefits that come from reconnecting with nature in the most basic ways. And while I've discovered remarkably in my mid 40s a love of running long distance ultra marathons in the mountains, that's not what I encourage clients to do. I encourage clients just to go out for even a 15-minute walking break at lunch to connect with the elements in ways that really reset and recharge on a regular basis.
Wow. I mean, it's really fascinating, like how balance can um, actually amplify productivity. Lovely. So, listeners, like take note. Sometimes slowing down is the fastest way to move forward. Yeah. Okay. I'll come to Eco. Eco, like you have spoken about how yoga helped you find courage and authenticity, right? So, on this, I mean, how can mindfulness practices like yoga contribute to the achieving a CEO flow state? What do you say?
CEO flow state. Well, thank you, and a great story and your tips, Don.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Um, how does mindfulness help us achieve CEO
Mm-hmm.
flow state? I think
Yep.
in the modern world, I think long time ago when digital devices weren't so around us, we
Mm-hmm.
were looking into creating what am I going to do today list. I think we're at a stage right now that we also need to create a not to do list. I think fighting temptation, fighting distraction is very important in our day, in our modern day. And I think being mindful help us to stay away from distraction. I think it's not a myth that a lot of apps, a lot of social media are created so that we can stay on them, scroll on them for good purposes or for not so productive purposes. So I think by being mindful, which is really come down to being self-aware, is really helpful. I think sometimes people recognize that, oh, I was, especially ADHD is really prevalent right now. People can suddenly realize, wow, I was scrolling on the phone for how long? Right. So not even just about achieving CEO flow state, it's how do you even stay focused these days? So I think practicing mindfulness will help your brain have the capability to focus better and as well as creating that self-awareness that you know that hey, even though you know sometimes you can fight the devil or the temptation, but it really also helps just to stay away from temptation. So that really helps. And I think a lot of the message I'm seeing on TikTok, maybe Don can relate, or maybe someone else on listening that we relate. I see a lot of people saying these days that whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. Well, I kind of feel bad and disagree a little bit because I think a lot of people do things without thinking these days, so they don't even know they've chosen it. But if you practice mindfulness or meditation, be able to focus and have that strong self-awareness, then you'll be able to say, oh, wow, I'm not changing that habit. Because Don talked about, creating good habits daily and, breaking some habits too. So how do you break habits if you don't have self-awareness? How do you have self-awareness if you're not being mindful? So yeah, they're kind of connected together.
Yeah, true, definitely. And I definitely agree on this. Yeah, for sure. And also, like, how do you suggest like the busy leaders integrate the mindfulness into their hectic schedules?
Mhm. Absolutely. There's so many techniques out there. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
hacks that people have these days. So for me, I really resonated with Dawn about breath work. I think breath work takes time to get good at, but once you understand the true benefit of breath work, all the science and how it changes you physiologically, then you start to appreciate breath work and just a simple few breath can help you stay away from dangerous situation. I think
Mm-hmm.
people can be very unhinged these days. And if they just take a couple moments to calm down, like what Don said, slowing down before you say something hurtful, right? So I think breath work is definitely something I leverage on a daily basis. Just at the beginning of the day, if we want to talk about daily habits, I go to the mirror, look at myself, make sure I feel good about myself and are presentable for my clients. And
Mm-hmm.
just by looking at the mirror, I just take a couple of breaths. Well, I do have a few breathwork techniques to that I already am working on and are able to tap into its benefits quickly. So breath work, and that is just simply 2, 3 minutes. 2, 3 minutes right there. And then you can change from a fight or flight mode to a mode that is purposeful, that you're going to step into your values, integrity, and not be able to be swayed by either side. So breath work is definitely another one. And then lastly, I think for me, a tarot card reading. Because I
Wow.
do that intuitively. I don't do the mystical reading. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, this is what I think is going to happen today. I use tarot card because they're usually drawn with lots of symbols.
Mm-hmm.
So I will pull a card and just say, hey, that card is usually meant for this, but how do I feel about this card's picture today? Did I notice a different detail on it today? So that just by looking at a tarot card, how beautiful it is, what kind of symbol is on there, because they're usually sprinkled with lots of symbol. And I look at it and I just find like, oh, what did I notice today? And then that just also helped me calm, more focus, and then kind of set myself into an intention for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And to be honest, by looking at myself in the mirror, taking the breath, and then looking at a tarot card, it's maximum 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you can
Equine.
just time
Yeah.
block. Oh, I'm so sorry. There's a
No
lag.
issue, no issue. Please,
But yeah.
please, please say. Please say. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think how do we do it hectic? I mean, how do we schedule it into a hectic day? If you know that this can be as simple as 10 minutes, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard not to do. So I think it's important these days that we just time block as well in the hectic
Mm-hmm.
day schedule, 10 minutes. Or if you don't want to do tarot card reading or tarot card renewal, then it's just 5 minutes. Looking yourself in the mirror, get that confidence back, and use your breath work to help you calm the physiologies.
Wow. Wow. Really lovely. I really love, I mean, how you emphasize the practical ways to weave the wellness into lives. And definitely, kind of, I would say it's a reminder that the small changes, or even, I mean, all the small changes can have profound impacts. So, yeah, true. Lovely. Also, we often hear about this balancing the professional and personal lives. So I'll come to Dawn. Like regarding this, what advice would you give to the CEOs who are struggling to prioritize their personal, I mean, the family and the personal well-being without compromising their business goals?
It's a great question and one that I struggled
Mm-hmm.
with for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see in hindsight how misguided I was by believing that I had to work all the time and not carve out time for reconnecting with my family and friends. Some of the things that you asked in your question, and what I've come to understand much better now is um, that I was actually hindering the growth of my business by working in the business constantly. And what I mean by this is that for certain businesses that are ones that have a lot of growth potential and they are ones that a prospective buyer would want to acquire so they can grow that business, right? A business will not be attractive to a prospective buyer if the owner of that business is running every aspect of the business. Why? Because what happens if what if the business owner gets sick or something happens to them, the business comes to a grinding halt. And so to sort of flip your question, I really challenge CEOs and business owners to think about their role as an architect of building a scalable business that can become a sellable asset that a prospective buyer will say, this is a very attractive business. Why? Because the CEO, the head of the business, has set the business up to scale. And the way it relates to carving out time for friends and family is that if the CEO becomes more disciplined about delegating things that they ought not be doing, and drawing the right boundaries in their work versus their private life, that's where they can really they can lay the foundation for that scalable, sellable business, is by effectively delegating and drawing boundaries between their work life and their personal life. And I think what they're going to find is that as they draw those boundaries, as they delegate more effectively, they're naturally going to have more time to spend with their family, with their friends, doing things to recharge themselves in ways that lead to more creativity, more innovation, and a focus on what they can contribute most valuably as CEO, bringing their skill set and experience. So it very much is all tied together, but it requires exercising some discipline for the CEO to, as I say, draw the right boundaries and engage in the right delegation.
True. Exactly. And also on this, like as you mentioned, uh, so if you can share, like how can creating the systems within the business um, will lead to a more personal freedom? Because I guess in today's chaotic world, um I mean it's very it's very a difficult challenge. I'd say it's a challenge. So what do you say?
Yeah, I think I mentioned the
Mm-hmm.
need for delegation, and I think a lot of business owners will say, yes, of course, I know delegation, but um, it takes relinquishing some measure of control to
Mm-hmm.
delegate to others and entrust them, and know
Yeah.
that it's not always going to be performed exactly as you, the CEO, might like it to, but that's
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity to evaluate, right, and provide feedback. And in that way, help your team grow in their own skill set. And that's, I think, an often overlooked part of delegation is putting more trust in others incrementally, right, with the
Yeah.
appropriate areas of responsibility. But that presents such an opportunity for your team members to grow in their own skill set. And everyone wants to advance their career, and
Mm-hmm.
delegation is a great way to do that. The other aspect of really systematizing a business is creating standardized processes that are documented either in written form, or nowadays, I think much better, to record screen shares of work inside applications, and have a common location where those processes
Mm-hmm.
are stored, so that the business is not reinventing the wheel constantly, and it's actually developing repeatable processes that again create more scalability in the business. Because if one person is out for a certain amount of time, somebody else can quickly come in and
Mm-hmm.
quickly learn those processes, and in that way offer a lot more stability and continuity in a business that, without those processes defined, as you said, it is often very chaotic without defined processes.
Very true. Yes, I totally agree on this, because sometimes we all could use more of it. I mean, creating systems really seems to be free up mental bandwidth as well. So yeah. So on this context, I'll come to Eco, right? As a mother and the entrepreneur, uh, how do you manage the balance between the family life and running a wellness empire?
Thank you. Lot of great things Dawn shared there. I will also
Hmm.
echo.
Yeah.
um, so, and I'm speaking as a mother with a
Hmm.
son, one son, not multiple.
Hmm.
That's going to be 4 years old. So, in case there's listener who want to
Hmm.
feel like if they connect, so I'm just putting that context out there. Um, right now, because I'm in the corporate wellness field, so lots of years we've been calling work-life balance. And
Yeah.
apparently, some people start to think that, well, does that mean 8 hours of work, 8 hours of sleep, and 8 hours of personal life? And that's balance. So we started to change the word to work-life harmony. If you are in harmony with the hours you're spending in the
Hmm.
personal and the work, then that's golden already. It's not like 8, 8, 8. So just want to state that out there. Just like my comment about having a not to do list, I
Hmm.
think it's important that you be self aware, be mindful, and list out on your journal or a notebook somewhere that the things that are really great at distracting you. So that's one way to help you achieve the work life harmony. And just like Dawn said, in terms of a business, it's funny. A long time ago, I wanted to do everything because I'm in the business, I'm excited. And then slowly, I want to be in a business to save money. And then I'm not hiring people and I'm exhausted. And thank God I did that before I had my son. And what really changed was my husband and I went on a 3 weeks vacation. And I realized, oh, I want to do this again. How can I
Yeah.
just keep on working in the business? Right. So a lot of people talk about that if you're not in a job that you enjoy,
Hmm.
schedule a travel because you have something to look forward to. And then the moment you think about, wow, I gotta be there. How could I be
Hmm.
stuck in my business? So I think that's in that vacation, that 3 weeks vacation is actually the a turning point for my business that we decided to have a system to scale. So whether that is a ticketing system that has a proper reminder email for my attendees, for my participants, that also saves time because a long time ago I had to write manual email on reminding people to come. But now that is a system, a ticketing system like Eventbrite in North America
Hmm.
that help you send that out. So that is a system, a little bit software right there. Um, so I guess what I'm trying to say is if you love traveling, if you find that spending time with your family is important, maybe that Friday night dinner is so
Hmm.
important, you'll schedule everything around it, right? Because we already know relationship is what makes people happy, not money, not things, but the relationship that you have cultivated over the year is important. So takeaway would be it's work life harmony. Just like Dawn said, you got to have a system. You got to think about how you're going to be able to be at Hawaii and not having to take a call that is probably 12 hours difference from you. Maybe you just went surfing
Hmm.
with your family, but then at 12 a.m. At midnight in Hawaii, you're answering calls from your clients. So think about that way, then it's fine. And now that I have multiple team members, and you know what? I am so grateful for all the people that I hired and work with. Because one, I've worked with some not favorable candidates, but the one that you found that just create peace of mind, that they know what
Hmm.
to do, and you know that the people you hire are resourceful, they can think on the spot and that they are willing to go above and beyond because just like Dawn said, they actually enjoy their work and that you have a progressive plan that tells them if you can achieve all these steps and think beyond the box and help my business, then there's the next progression for you. So a system, recruit great talents with good integrities, because down the end, when you're not in the business, when the person is not looking, are they going to make silly mistakes or jeopardize the business, right? People who are responsible. And so have proper system, great talents, and yeah, spend the weekend in front of Netflix and create processes. And with these days, you need to create processes that are in Word document for people who can enjoy that reading words. But then you also got to
Mm.
create videos for people who likes to listen. And then now when I onboard teams,
Mm.
I actually hire another person just to look at the people reading through
Mm.
word per word the standard operation document that I create, just so that we're on the same page. And of course, once you create a system, you also need to create metrics to make sure that, well, is this
Mm.
system I created working? Well, the revenue is not growing. Why is that? What's missing? Oh, we're
Sure.
doing too many refund. Why do we have so many refund? Oh, you know what? We should have an FAQ so people's expectations are met. So those are
Mm.
all sounds like very simple things, but creating FAQ can be very very time consuming, because you got to just dig through your brain on all the things that your customer has ever asked. So yeah, creating system, scheduling that most important dinner with your friends and family, booking that trip ahead so that you have something to look forward to and understand the value of your own time. And it's something that Don said really resonate with me, because we were thinking about buying businesses. And you are you buying a business or are you buying a job? Like if you have
Mm.
to be working in that, you didn't buy a business. You bought
Yeah.
a new job, and a new job that you probably can't sleep sometimes, right? So you
Yeah.
really, because you got to go in and put out the fire. So you really need to create a system that is scalable. And then once you're there, guess what? You can build it at a different region, different territory, different franchise, and then you know what? Then you got a duplicable system, and that's magic.
Mm.
That's magic. And you can take it everywhere, and you can grow your empire that way. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I mean, definitely, I have to say, your ability to balance so many roles is truly inspiring for all of us who trying to juggle life's demands. That's
Thank you.
great.
Some people will
Yeah.
not agree completely, but because I really
Hmm.
like working, but I definitely believe I have given my family enough of my time and presence as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Lovely. Yeah.
I
Mm.
love how your love of travel and spending time with family, renewing in that way was
Mhm.
such a catalyst for creating those systems. They go so well together, and I think renewing is so vital for entrepreneurs, because without which I think we know what happens, right? We just grind ourselves down, and we run the risk that we become disengaged from the business in ways that our team feels, customers feel. So taking seriously that renewal and whatever that looks like. I also happen to love travel, so that resonated with me. And then it supports building more scalability into the business, because if you want to take time off without fretting every
Mm.
moment away, which I've done in the past, you have to create those systems and build a better team.
Wow.
Absolutely. Because there was a time we were traveling and we didn't have that system. And guess what? We were worrying
Mhm.
on our vacation, and
Okay.
it just didn't feel like vacation anymore.
Yeah, I mean, while on vacation, we should enjoy the vacation. Definitely. Why the work should deteriorate the vacation or the enjoy part of the life? Yeah, sure. And here also comes the conscious living as well. So Don, like I'll come to you. Like you have been open about your struggles with the burnouts and the depression. So if you can share, I mean, your advice or maybe some tips about how can leaders address this trauma to unlock their full potential.
Yeah, it can feel very daunting under the
Mm-hmm.
pressure of growing a business to carve out time for mental well-being. But from my perspective, it's essential. And I think there's an increasing recognition about the importance of mental well-being to business performance,
Mm-hmm.
and that it doesn't come easily. And what I mean by that is that we've got to take some perhaps unorthodox approaches to address our mental well-being. And for me, I've mentioned a couple of practices that have really helped with addressing mental well-being.
Mm-hmm.
One is the breathing that we've talked about, and reconnecting with the breath. And the other is the movement that I've spoken of. I think there's more and more evidence that regular physical exercise, especially outdoor exercise, provides so many benefits in terms of our reducing our stress response, diminished cortisol, and also the enhanced creativity that comes from spending time outdoors. And so I advocate clients to take up cycling, even again a rigorous walk
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis, a couple of times a week. My guideline is 3 times a week for at least 30 minutes. And during each of those 30-minute sessions, you have to aim to lose your breath 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just such a reset, I think, mentally, in ways that historically, I just didn't pay attention to. And instead, I was taking antidepressants, which helped in my hardest moments, but it was not a long-term sustainable solution for me in any way, shape, or form. And so I've weaned myself off of those antidepressants through a combination of the movement exercise that I've just described, as well as shifts in nutrition, which can have a role to play, because I wasn't really focused closely on nutrition. And I've now shifted that over the years to incorporate a low inflammatory diet. And why is that important? Well, inflammation is certainly contributing factor to mental strain and lack of mental health. And so an anti-inflammatory diet, a Mediterranean style diet, for example, is also a important tool in addressing mental well-being. They don't seem related, but now I think there's plenty of evidence out there, and my own personal experience with clients shows that these approaches really do make a difference to maintaining a healthy mindset and building more and more mental resilience.
Understood. Exactly. And like I'll come to ego. Like for you, I mean, yoga is deeply connected to the idea of healing and the self-discovery. So how do you see yoga helping people process and heal from their childhood trauma?
Wow, you're giving me that. With 15 minutes left, I could talk like 4 hours on yoga. But
Yeah.
to resonate what Dawn said,
Uh-huh.
conscious living and how does yoga help people? With
Mm-hmm.
Dawn's approach, he's asking people to feel alive again with their body by coming out of breath, reset, right? So yoga um, can help with that body awareness. And that's why so many people, you can hear people wanting to go to yoga almost every day, because that wholesomeness that you feel, that you are alive and tingling with parts
Mm-hmm.
of your body, that you feel really alive. So I just want to follow up what Dawn said with yoga. But yoga, just want to let everybody know, is actually the posture moving plus
Mm-hmm.
meditation. So meditation is part of yoga. But the movement part is obviously more prevalent in the West. But what really that part is you're meditating while moving. And guess what? Every day we're moving, But how do you meditate? Doing whatever you want. So basically, that is living in the presence. So if you can move from warrior one to warrior
Mm.
two and still meditate and still feel very grounded and very focused, if you take that to your daily life, that you're writing, you're cooking, you're showering, and you're enjoying it in the moment. If you can take that skill, you can take that skill from yoga to outside of yoga class. That is how a yoga can help someone to
Mm.
feel more alive, to feel more grounded in their body. And by feeling more alive, I think that also help with mental health as well. And
Mm.
of course, in a very basic physical way, we have a lot of desk injuries right now. As you know, people hunch forward, people look down on their phone and keyboard, and they don't really recognize that the tight shoulder, the shoulder roundingness that's happening, people don't feel confident looking anymore. They don't
Mhm.
get to roll their shoulder back because it's all hunched now, and their body's like this. Your spine is not aligned and straight, so that you personally don't feel confident. And that is something very, very subtle. So with yoga, you are correcting your posture, you're feeling more confident,
Mm.
you are taking away that tightness because tightness, just like Dawn said earlier, tightness for a long time becomes inflammation and then slowly scar tissue and slowly you'll need to see not a yoga teacher, you're going to have to see a
Yeah.
chiropractor, physiotherapist, right? So it becomes
Mm.
serious. So yoga can on a regular basis help you correct your posture, and once your spine's aligned properly, the
Yeah.
energy will come back. And imagine if your life can have more energy, won't you be able to do more? So yoga can help you take away the tightness, prevent the desk injury, get
Mm.
that confident posture back, because that's something I say I think people overlook, and also getting more energy into your life. And of course, that's physical
Mm.
benefit. And once you feel super connected with your body, the moment you feel alive, you are more grounded and more kind, I think, to your surrounding. Because now you know, wow, that little fight I have with my neighbor or my
Mm.
spouse, that is not really important. I was
Mm.
fighting for control. I should have been fighting or arguing for cohesiveness. So, like, your intention will change. I know it sounds very far away right now, but the moment
Mm.
you're happy and compassionate to yourself, to your loved one, that changes. And that kind of appreciation can really
Mm.
come from a long term yoga practice. And of course, in yoga classes, they also teach you breath work. So, because Don and I both talk about the importance of breath work, you'll also learn
Mm.
that. And just want to add here, why is breath work important? Why do I have to practice? Because I'm breathing every day. Well, there is a passive breathing, which is we're doing right now, but actively breathing, I
Mhm.
find some of the clients that come through, they can only inhale for up to 3 seconds. A
Mm.
breathwork practitioner, we can breathe up to 6 to 8 seconds. Not it's a competition, but the things that we just
Mm.
have bigger lung capacity, we just have better control. And of course, you already know that we would tell a woman who's pushing or labor,
Mhm.
breathe deeply, because we all know that when you breathe deeply, you are targeting the parasympathetic system, and that scientifically just calm you down. And that's another benefit of calming. Sometimes don't we say things too fast because we're too angry, unable to be calm and look at things more objectively and calm, thinking
Yeah.
that people is on your side, not opposite of you. So if we have that
Mm.
calmness taken to our society, our community, aren't we going to be a better person? Right? So that's another one. And of course, help stop road rage. And then
Exactly.
what else is there? Well, I'm not sure if you know, but I actually am very well known, our company very well known for pet integrated classes called Puppy
Mhm.
Yoga.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
think they're fantastic because a lot of people don't understand the the benefit of yoga because it's so slow. I can't sit
Mm.
still. But in a puppy yoga class or a kitten yoga class or a goat yoga class, you are surrounded by cuteness. So with that practice, you remember compassion. You remember that
Mm.
Mother Earth created so much beautiful creatures that could love us back, that could be sentient, that could connect with you emotionally. Oh, the world is wonderful. And that's why a lot of people love going to yoga because after they leave, they feel like, ah, sometimes they'll feel like a donut, but sometimes they'll actually crave juice, like fresh, nice juice because I feel like I gotta be clean. So there's so many benefit with the right yoga teacher, right instructor, and the right practice. So I can't say I could say so much more. I mean, I could say so much more, but yeah, I think the biggest one, correct your posture, get rid of tightness, get rid of
Hmm.
desk injuries, and become more calm. Like, aren't you a bit more smarter if you're calm and be able to look things objectively?
Yeah.
Yeah, so many. Sorry, I can't listen. I could list so much more, but I think those are the important ones that I want to talk about. Oh, can I
Wow.
talk about one more? One more, just
Yeah,
one.
please, please, please.
Anti-aging. And I'm sorry, I'm coming
Yeah.
from a mom perspective here, like,
Hmm.
because taking care of children are very can be tiresome sometimes. So because we yell at the little ones and then we get scowls. But
Hmm.
then like with yoga,
Hmm.
there's actually something called face yoga, basically
Yeah.
bringing the benefit of stretching and taking away the tightness in your face. That can
Mm.
help with aging more gracefully. I love how Don said grace in a couple of
Mm.
times of his work. So yeah, aging gracefully, and your body will age gracefully too, because with stretching, you get more oxygen in the body, like
Mm.
scientifically, for real, I got to say. So who wouldn't want that? Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Lovely. But I definitely wanted to continue a lot about this. Definitely, I believe the insights which both of you have shared, it's definitely gonna resonate with a lot of the listeners. And with this, but time is constrained, so I'll quickly come to both of you. I mean, if you can share one advice that today from this conversation, listeners gonna take away from this episode, what that would be. Anyone? I mean, both of you, definitely.
I'll jump in just
Mm-hmm.
to highlight what I think we both shared, which is the
Mm-hmm.
immense value in cultivating practices, having practices to slow down and practice some measure of stillness
Mm-hmm.
to counteract the
Yeah.
incredible demands that we're all under, the amount of information that we're bombarded with, and really carving out time
Mm.
to again experience stillness and quiet and reconnecting with oneself delivers immense benefits from a health perspective, but
Mm.
also from a business perspective in terms of enhanced creativity,
Mm.
innovation, and presence with those that matter most, both in your work day and those at home.
And echo.
Just one.
Okay.
Just one? Okay. I
Yeah, yeah,
think
please.
coming
Mm.
in with New Year resolution, lots of people
Mm-hmm.
are making to-do lists.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to make a not to-do list just to help you break some bad habit. And I think this exercise will help bring awareness, because I don't think people think about this the other
Mm-hmm.
way. That, oh yeah, I'm doing all these great things, but sometimes if you can take away, negative thinking and take away some, just simply like maybe eating too much, I'm sorry, drinking too much sugary drinks,
Mm-hmm.
taking one bad habit away right now that's really burdening you down from all your goals can be super helpful in terms of just building another one. I think the same amount of effort is required, or maybe even more, but I think it's very worthwhile if you can just take away that bad habit. That's probably you want to look at, that is probably ruining your health. Your body is probably the number one thing you want to focus on, because I think
Mm.
the bodily habits are very hard to break. Yeah, so I think let's take up a big challenge for New Year, maybe. Yeah, not to do
Lovely.
list.
Lovely. Great. I really love that thing. Great. So, thank you so much to Dawn and Echo, I mean, for sharing your wisdom and the stories with us today. And Healthy Waves is all about connecting, um, you to the transformative ideas. And I hope that, dear listeners, today's episode has sparked something meaningful within you. And if you are ready to take the next step in balancing the business and the life, unlocking your intuition, or healing past wounds, uh, start small, stay consistent, and never stop exploring. So, and do not forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs it, and leave us a review, because your review will definitely help us bring you more mindful and beautiful guests like Don and Nico. So, let's ride the wave to a healthier and more conscious life together. And until next time, stay curious and stay inspired. So, with this, thank you so much.
Thank you, Avik, and thank you, Don. That was very pleasant.